My husband said I was a burden he was stuck with, so I lifted myself off his shoulders and he crumbled without the support he never noticed. For 9 years, I'd been the invisible scaffolding of our marriage. I managed his calendar, remembered his mother's birthday, scheduled his doctor appointments, and kept track of which colleagues he couldn't stand so he wouldn't embarrass himself at company events. I did this while working full-time as a paralegal, because his architecture firm was still finding its footing, he said. It had been finding its footing for 7 years. The night he said it, we were arguing about Thanksgiving. My parents wanted us to visit. His mother expected us at her house. I suggested we split the day between both families. That's when he exploded. "You're always making everything so complicated. You're just a burden I'm stuck with." The words hung in the air like smoke. I didn't cry. I didn't yell back. I just nodded and went to bed. The next morning, I stopped. I canceled the dentist appointment I'd made for him 3 months ago. I didn't remind him about his presentation. I didn't pick up his dry cleaning. When his mother called about Thanksgiving, I handed him the phone without a word. By day 3, he was frantic. "Where's my blue shirt? When's that meeting with the investors? Did you call the plumber about the leak?" "I'm not sure," I said calmly. "You'll have to check." His confusion was almost funny. He'd lived in our house for 9 years but didn't know where we kept the spare keys. Week 2, he missed his biggest client pitch because I hadn't put it in his calendar. He showed up to his mother's birthday dinner a day late because I didn't remind him. His boss called, asking why the quarterly reports weren't submitted. "I always handle those," he told them, except I didn't anymore. By week 3, his carefully constructed life was collapsing. His assistant quit after he screamed at her for not knowing his coffee order. His mother stopped speaking to him after he forgot their lunch date. His friends started declining invitations because he'd become unreliable. "I'm falling apart," he finally said one night. "Why aren't you helping me?" "Because you said I was a burden," I replied. So I lifted myself off. He stared at me like I was speaking another language. "I never meant it like that." "You did," I said quietly. "And you've meant it for years. You just finally said it out loud." I filed for divorce the next week. He begged me to reconsider. "We can fix this. We can go to counseling." But I'd already spent 9 years fixing things while he broke them. During the proceedings, his lawyer painted me as vindictive and cruel. My lawyer simply presented the evidence. 9 years of me doing everything while he coasted. The judge wasn't impressed with his arguments. I got the house. He got a studio apartment and a wake-up call. 6 months later, I ran into his colleague Finn at the grocery store. "Heard about the divorce," he said carefully. "For what it's worth, everyone at the firm knew you were the reason he functioned at all." I smiled. "It's worth a lot, actually." He hesitated, then said something that made my blood run cold. "Did he ever tell you about the promotion?" "What promotion?" "The senior partner position. He got it 2 years ago. Came with a $60,000 raise." My hands went numb. We'd been living like we were broke for 2 years while he told me the firm was struggling. "Where did the money go?" I asked, though part of me already knew. Finn looked uncomfortable. "There's an account. Under a different name. I think you should talk to a forensic accountant." That night, I hired one. What she found made me realize the burden wasn't me at all. It was what he'd been hiding, and it was going to destroy more than just our marriage. The forensic accountant's name was Rhonda Peterson. She had short gray hair and wore reading glasses on a beaded chain. She looked like someone's grandmother, which was probably why people underestimated her. Within 3 days, she'd unraveled my entire life. We met at a coffee shop downtown. She spread manila folders across the table like she was dealing cards. "Your husband has been very busy," she said. "Over the past 2 years, he's moved approximately $340,000 through various accounts." My coffee went cold in my hand. "That's impossible. We barely had savings." "Exactly," Rhonda said. "Because he wasn't saving. He was spending." She showed me the first account. It was opened 18 months ago under the name Quillen Holdings, LLC. My husband's signature was on every document. Monthly deposits ranging from $8,000 to $15,000, and monthly withdrawals just as large. "Where was it going?" I asked. "That's where it gets interesting," she said. The money was being transferred to a property management company in Charleston. He'd purchased a condo there. Paid cash. $280,000. My hands started shaking. We talked about buying a vacation property. He said we couldn't afford it. "Apparently, he could afford it," Rhonda said gently. "He just couldn't afford it with you." There was more. Credit cards I didn't know about. A car lease for a BMW I'd never seen. Restaurant charges every weekend for the past year. High-end places. The kind where you needed reservations months in advance. He told me he was working those weekends. I whispered. "Extra projects. Difficult clients." Rhonda nodded. "I've seen this before. The pattern is always the same." She showed me the credit card statement. Jewelry purchases from Tiffany. Flowers delivered monthly. Weekend trips to Charleston, Miami, Asheville. Hundreds of dollars spent at lingerie boutiques. I felt sick. He was having an affair. "That's the obvious conclusion," Rhonda said. "But there's something else you should know." She pulled out another folder. This one was thicker. I found a second property. This one's in Raleigh. Purchased 3 years ago. Before the Charleston condo. Before the secret accounts. Before I thought our marriage was falling apart. "How?" I asked. "We were still happy 3 years ago." "Were you?" Rhonda asked quietly. I thought about it. 3 years ago, he'd started traveling more for work. 3 years ago, he'd joined a gym and lost 30 pounds. 3 years ago, he'd bought new clothes and started caring about his hair. I'd been proud of him. Thought he was finally taking care of himself. Turns out he was just taking care of someone else. The Raleigh property was different. It wasn't a condo. It was a house. 4 bedrooms. A yard. The kind of place you raised a family in. I couldn't breathe. Rhonda handed me a tissue I didn't realize I needed. There's a woman's name on the utility bills, Piper Delacroix. She's 31 years old, works as an event planner, and according to public records, she has a 3-year-old daughter named Haven. The math was simple. Too simple. My husband had another family. A whole separate life complete with a house and a child and a woman who probably thought he was divorced or widowed or maybe didn't care. How long have you known? I asked Rhonda. About the affair or about the child? Both. I found the affair evidence on day 1, she said. The child took a bit longer. There's no birth certificate with his name on it. No legal acknowledgement. But the timing lines up and I found several large cash withdrawals around the time of the birth. I drove home in a daze. My phone rang 6 times. My husband calling. I didn't answer. When I got home, he was waiting on the porch. His key didn't work anymore. I'd changed the locks that morning. We need to talk, he said. I stared at him. This man I'd loved for 9 years. This stranger who'd built an entire life behind my back. How old is your daughter? I asked. His face went white. What? Haven. How old is she? 3? Or is she almost 4 now? He stumbled backward. Let me explain. There's nothing to explain, I said. You have a child. You have a house. You have a whole other life. He grabbed my arm. It's not what you think. Then what is it? I asked. Because from where I'm standing, you're a man who's been living a double life while telling me I was a burden. He started crying, real tears streaming down his face. It was a mistake. One night. I was drunk. She told me she was on birth control. I wanted him to feel what I felt, that crushing weight of betrayal. Did you know about the pregnancy? I asked. Yes. He whispered. Did you offer to help? Did you want to be involved? He shook his head. I gave her money for an abortion, but she kept it. So you've been paying child support under the table? Monthly, for 3 years, while telling me we couldn't afford to start our own family. That's what broke me. Not the affair. Not the secret accounts. Not even the lies. It was remembering all the times I'd brought up having children. All the times he'd said we needed to wait. We weren't financially stable enough. The firm needed him. We should enjoy our freedom while we had it. Meanwhile, he had a daughter he saw on weekends. A daughter he bought gifts for. A daughter whose name he probably whispered in his sleep. I want you off my property, I said quietly. We're still married. We have to figure this out. We'll figure it out through lawyers, I said. Mine already has all the evidence, the accounts, the properties, the child support payments, the affair, all of it. He went pale. You'll destroy me. You destroyed yourself, I said. I just hired someone to document it. He left. I watched him drive away in his car. Not the Toyota he claimed to own, but a BMW I'd never seen, because that's who he was. A man who could look me in the eye and lie about every single thing. That night, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. His mother called twice. His sister called once. Even Finn called to tell me he was sorry. He didn't know about the child, didn't know how deep the lies went. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I called Rhonda. I need to know everything, I told her. I don't care how bad it is. I need to know the full truth. She was quiet for a moment. Are you sure? Because once you know, you can't unknow it. I'm sure. She sighed. Give me 3 more days. I'll have a complete report. Those 3 days felt like 3 years. I went to work. I came home. I ate food I didn't taste and slept in a bed that felt too big. My coworkers noticed something was wrong, but didn't pry. I was grateful for that. On the 3rd day, Rhonda called. Can you come to my office? There's something I need to show you in person. Her office was small and cluttered with filing cabinets. She had photographs spread across her desk. Surveillance photos. I didn't ask where she got them. I wasn't sure I wanted to know. This is Piper Delacroix, she said, pointing to a blonde woman in her 30s. She's attractive, well-dressed. She owns her own business. Has a good reputation in Raleigh. By all accounts, she's exactly the kind of woman men like your husband pursue when they want to trade up. I studied the photo. She didn't look anything like me. I was brunette and practical, wore minimal makeup, shopped at Target. This woman looked like she'd stepped out of a magazine. Is she the only one? I asked. Rhonda hesitated. Define only one. Is she the only woman he's been seeing? Another pause. No, she's not. There were 3 others, all younger, all blonde, all living in different cities where my husband claimed to be working on projects. One in Charlotte, one in Atlanta, one in Virginia Beach. None of them knew about each other. None of them knew about me. He'd compartmentalized his entire life into neat little boxes that never overlapped. Until now. The Charlotte woman was named Quinn Hartwell. She was 28 and worked as a dental hygienist. They'd been seeing each other for 18 months. He'd told her he was divorced, told her his ex-wife was crazy and vindictive, told her he was working on getting custody of his daughter, except the daughter wasn't from his ex-wife. The daughter was from Piper. And I wasn't crazy. I just didn't exist in his version of events. The Atlanta woman was Brooke Donovan. She was 26 and a graduate student studying architecture. That's how they met. She'd been his intern 2 years ago. He'd mentored her, helped her with her thesis, started an affair that lasted 6 months before she moved to Atlanta for a better program. They still saw each other monthly. He told her he was separated, that the divorce was almost final, that soon they could be together properly. She was planning her future around a man who had 4 other lives running simultaneously. The Virginia Beach woman was the worst. Her name was Ivy Kerrigan, and she was 35, a widow with 2 young sons. Her husband had died in a construction accident 3 years ago. She was lonely and vulnerable, and my husband had swooped in like a predator. He'd told her he was single, never married, no kids, looking to settle down with the right person. They'd been together for 10 months. Her boys called him Uncle Drew. He'd been at their soccer games, their school plays, their birthday parties. He'd become part of their family while telling them our marriage was the burden he couldn't escape. I couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, couldn't process what I was hearing. 5 women, 5 separate lives, 5 different versions of the same lie. How? I finally asked. How did he manage this? Rhonda shrugged. Carefully, methodically. Men like your husband are compartmentalizers. They keep everything separate. Different phones, different credit cards, different stories. They're so good at lying that they start believing their own lies. There's more, she said quietly. I don't know if I can take more. You need to hear this part. She pushed another photo across the desk. This was different. Not surveillance, a professional portrait, a family photo. My husband with Piper and Haven, all 3 of them smiling like a catalog ad for happiness. When was this taken? I asked. Last month, at a photography studio in Raleigh. He paid $800 for the session and prints. I felt hollow. While I'd been at home wondering why my marriage was falling apart, he'd been posing for family portraits with his other family. Did Piper know about me? I asked. Not at first, Rhonda said. But she does now. She found out about a year ago. She hired her own investigator after getting suspicious about his weekend absences. So she knows he's married. And she's still with him. People make complicated choices, Rhonda said carefully. She has a child with him. He provides financial support. She probably convinced herself that she could wait him out, that eventually he'd leave you. What about the others? Do they know about each other? Rhonda shook her head. Just Piper knows the full truth. The others think they're the only one. Quinn thinks she's competing with a crazy ex-wife. Brooke thinks she's waiting for a divorce to finalize. Ivy thinks she's found her second chance at love. None of them know they're just chapters in the same book. I need to talk to them, I said. That's not advisable. I don't care what's advisable, I snapped. These women deserve to know the truth. They deserve to know who they're wasting their time on. Rhonda nodded slowly. I have contact information for all of them, but you need to be prepared. They might not believe you. They might not want to believe you. People don't like having their realities shattered. Mine already is, I said. Might as well shatter a few more. I started with Ivy. She seemed the most vulnerable, the most in need of knowing before she built more of her life around a lie. I drove to Virginia Beach on a Saturday morning. Rhonda had given me her address, a small house near the beach with a worn fence and toys in the yard. I knocked on the door at 10 o'clock. She answered wearing yoga pants and a messy bun. Can I help you? My name is Natalie. I'm Drew's wife. She laughed. That's not funny. Whatever this is, I'm not interested. I pulled out my phone, showed her our wedding photo, then our marriage certificate, then photos of us together spanning 9 years. Her face went white. That's not possible. He said he's never been married. He lied, I said gently. And I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but he's been lying about a lot of things. She let me in. Her boys were at a friend's house. We sat at her kitchen table and I told her everything. The secret accounts, the properties, the other women, the child with Piper. She cried quietly while I talked. When I finished, she just sat there. I thought he was my second chance, she whispered. After my husband died, I didn't think I'd ever feel anything again, and Drew made me feel hopeful. I reached across the table, held her hand. I'm sorry, I truly am. She wiped her eyes. How long have you known? About you? 3 weeks? About the others? 1 week. Why are you telling me? Because you deserve the truth, I said. And because I think we deserve better than what he gave us. She asked questions. I answered honestly. She asked to see the evidence. I showed her everything Rhonda had compiled. Bank statements, property records, photos, all of it. By the time I left, she'd called her brother to come over, asked him to be there when she confronted Drew. I gave her my number, told her to call if she needed anything. She hugged me at the door. Thank you, she said. I know this can't have been easy. Nothing about this is easy, I said, but at least now we know. Next was Quinn and Charlotte. She was harder to reach. I called her number 3 times before she answered. Who is this? My name is Natalie. You don't know me, but we have someone in common. Drew Ellis. There was a long silence. How did you get this number? That's not important. What's important is that Drew has been lying to both of us. About what? About everything. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop. She was pretty in an obvious way. Perfect makeup, perfect hair, perfect outfit. She looked at me like I was something stuck to her shoe. So you're the crazy ex-wife. I'm not crazy, I said. And I'm not his ex. We're still legally married. That's impossible. He showed me divorce papers. He showed you forged documents, I said. We're not divorced. We're not even separated. Well, we weren't until 3 weeks ago when I found out about you and the others. What others? I laid it out for her. All of it. She listened with increasing horror. When I finished, she stood up abruptly. I need to go. Quinn, wait. Don't contact me again, she said. Whatever game you're playing, I'm not interested. This isn't a game. It's the truth. She grabbed her purse. Drew warned me you might try something like this. That you try to turn people against him. Of course he did, I said. Because that's what liars do when the truth starts catching up. She left. I watched her go and felt defeated. Rhonda had been right. Some people didn't want their realities shattered. Some people needed to believe the lie more than they needed to know the truth. I didn't bother going to Atlanta. If Quinn wouldn't believe me with evidence, Brooke wouldn't either. Instead, I focused on what I could control. The divorce, the assets, making sure my husband couldn't hide anything else. My lawyer was a woman named Veronica Stiles. She had silver hair and a reputation for being ruthless. When I showed her everything Rhonda had found, she smiled. This is good. This is very good. How is any of this good? I asked. Because in North Carolina, adultery affects divorce settlements, she said. And your husband didn't just commit adultery. He committed fraud. He hid assets. He created shell companies. He lied to the court during preliminary proceedings. We can take him for everything. I didn't want everything. I just wanted out. I wanted to not be tied to this man anymore. I wanted to wake up and not feel stupid for missing all the signs. But Veronica insisted. You have leverage. Use it. If you don't, he'll find a way to screw over the next person. Or he'll come back and try to screw you over again. Men like him always do. The court date was set for 6 weeks out. In the meantime, my husband tried everything. He sent flowers. I donated them to a nursing home. He sent letters. I burned them. He showed up at my work. Security escorted him out. He had his mother call. I blocked her number. He had friends reach out. I told them the truth. Mo stopped being his friend after that. Then he tried a different approach. He hired an expensive lawyer, someone who specialized in hiding assets and destroying reputations. His lawyer sent a letter claiming I'd been verbally abusive throughout the marriage, that I'd isolated him from friends and family, that I'd controlled the finances and refused to let him have any independence. All lies. But convincing lies if you didn't know the truth. Veronica wasn't worried. They're going with the Darvo defense, she explained. Deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Classic narcissist playbook. He'll claim you did everything he actually did. But we have evidence. He doesn't. During the discovery phase, things got interesting. My husband's lawyer requested financial records. Veronica provided them, all of them, including the secret accounts, the hidden properties, the shell companies, everything Rhonda had found. His lawyer withdrew from the case a week later. Conflict of interest, the filing said. Translation. He realized his client was guilty and didn't want to be associated with the mess. My husband scrambled to find new representation. Most lawyers took one look at the evidence and declined. Finally, he found someone desperate enough to take the case. A young guy fresh out of law school who needed the money more than the reputation. The court date arrived. I wore a navy suit and minimal jewelry, looked professional and composed. My husband wore an expensive suit that probably cost more than my car payment, looked desperate and cornered. The judge was a woman in her 60s named Patricia Valdez. She had no patience for nonsense. I liked her immediately. Veronica presented our case systematically. The timeline of the marriage, the discovery of the secret accounts, the properties, the affairs, the child. She had bank statements, property deeds, text messages Rhonda had somehow acquired, photos of my husband with each of the women, even the professional family portrait with Piper and Haven. My husband's lawyer tried to object, tried to claim the evidence was obtained illegally. Judge Valdez overruled him. Your client created a paper trail, she said dryly, pointing out that paper trail isn't illegal. It's just inconvenient for you. The lawyer sputtered but didn't argue further. Then it was my husband's turn to testify. His lawyer asked softball questions, tried to paint him as a hardworking man who'd made mistakes, tried to claim the affairs were because our marriage was already dead, tried to suggest I'd been emotionally unavailable. Judge Valdez looked bored. When Veronica got her turn to cross-examine, things fell apart quickly. How many affairs have you had during your marriage, Mr. Ellis? My husband shifted in his seat. I made some mistakes. That's not what I asked. How many? He looked at his lawyer for help. 4? Including the one that resulted in a child? His jaw clenched. Yes. And how many secret bank accounts did you open? I don't remember exactly. Would you like me to refresh your memory? Veronica pulled out the records. 13 separate accounts. Over $340,000 moved through them. Money earned during the marriage. Community property that you hid from your wife. His lawyer objected. Veronica smiled. Withdrawn. Let's talk about properties instead. How many properties did you purchase without your wife's knowledge? 2. And how did you pay for those properties? I saved money. From the accounts you hid? He didn't answer. So you took money that legally belonged to both of you, hid it in accounts your wife didn't know about, and used it to purchase properties for your mistresses. That's not how it was. Then how was it, Mr. Ellis? He couldn't explain, couldn't justify, couldn't do anything but sit there while Veronica systematically destroyed every lie he'd tried to build. Judge Valdez called a recess. When we returned an hour later, she had her ruling ready. I've reviewed the evidence, she said, and I have to say, Mr. Ellis, this is one of the most egregious cases of marital fraud I've seen in 30 years on the bench. She awarded me the house, both properties he'd purchased, the cars, half of his retirement account, and because he'd hidden assets, she ordered him to pay my legal fees. All of them, including Rhonda's services. She also ordered him to pay spousal support for 5 years. Not because I needed it, but because, as she put it, he needed to understand that actions have consequences. My husband's face turned red. He stood up, started shouting. This is ridiculous. She's been trying to destroy me. She's vindictive and cruel. Judge Valdez banged her gavel. Sit down, Mr. Ellis, or I'll hold you in contempt. He sat, glared at me across the courtroom like this was somehow my fault, like I'd forced him to lie, forced him to cheat, forced him to build 5 separate lives while calling me a burden. Outside the courthouse, reporters were waiting. Somehow word had gotten out about the case, about the secret families, about the level of deception. One of them shoved a microphone in my face. Mrs. Ellis, how do you feel about the verdict? I feel like justice was served, I said simply. Do you have any message for women going through something similar? Yes, I said. Trust your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. And don't be afraid to dig for the truth, because men like my husband count on you being too polite or too afraid to look. The story ran in several papers, local news picked it up, then a few national outlets. I became briefly famous as the woman who'd uncovered her husband's 5 lives. People sent me messages, shared their own stories, told me I was brave. I didn't feel brave. I felt exhausted, but I also felt free. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. Ivy called me a week after the verdict. She'd broken things off with my husband the day after I told her the truth. How are you holding up? She asked. Day by day, I said. You? Same. My boys ask about him sometimes. I tell them Uncle Drew had to move away for work. They're young enough to believe it. I'm sorry you had to go through this. Me too, she said. But I'm also grateful you told me. Better to know now than 5 years from now. We started talking regularly, became friends in that strange way people do when they've survived something together. She introduced me to her sister, her brother, her small circle of friends who'd supported her after her husband died. They were good people. The kind who showed up with casseroles when things got hard. The kind I'd needed in my own life but hadn't realized were missing. Piper never reached out. I heard through Rhonda that she'd confronted my husband after the verdict, that there'd been a scene, that she'd demanded he either commit to her properly or leave her alone. He'd apparently chosen to leave her alone. Moved back to his studio apartment. Lost his job when the firm decided his personal drama was bad for business. His mother stopped speaking to him. His sister wrote him a letter telling him how disappointed she was. He'd lost everything trying to have it all. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding. I sold the house. Too many memories. Bought a smaller place closer to downtown. Adopted a dog from the shelter. A senior beagle mix named Waffles who'd been overlooked because everyone wanted puppies. We were a good match. Both starting over later than we'd planned. I got a promotion at work. Started taking night classes toward my master's degree. Did things I'd put off because my husband needed me to prioritize his life. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello? Natalie? It was a woman's voice I didn't recognize. This is Brooke Donovan, from Atlanta, the architecture student. I sat down. Hi, Brooke. I'm sorry I didn't believe you, she said. When Quinn told me about your meeting, I thought it was just drama. But then Drew stopped returning my calls, and I started noticing inconsistencies in his stories. So I did some digging. What did you find? Everything you said was true. All of it. He'd been lying to me from the beginning. I felt nauseous listening to her voice crack. I wanted to call and apologize. And to say thank you. You don't need to thank me. I just didn't want you to waste more time on someone who didn't deserve it. I wasted 2 years, she said. 2 years believing I was special. That our connection was real. I'm so angry at myself for being so stupid. You weren't stupid, I said firmly. He's a con artist. A professional liar. People like that make a living out of being convincing. She sniffled. How do you move on from something like this? How do you trust anyone again? Honestly? I don't know yet. I'm still figuring it out. But I think it starts with trusting yourself. Believing that you're smart enough to spot the red flags next time. And knowing that being fooled doesn't make you a fool. It just makes you human. We talked for an hour. By the end, she sounded steadier. She'd left Atlanta. Moved to Denver to finish her degree away from memories of him. Started therapy. Was working on forgiving herself. I gave her Ivy's number. Suggested they might want to talk. Sometimes the best healing came from people who understood exactly what you'd been through. Life settled into a new normal. I dated occasionally. Nothing serious. Mostly I focused on myself. On rebuilding the identity I'd lost somewhere in 9 years of managing someone else's life. I took up painting. Terrible at it. But therapeutic. Started hiking on weekends. Lost weight. Got stronger. Felt more myself than I had in years. Waffles came everywhere with me. Best decision I'd ever made. Then one evening, my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. Looked through the peephole and froze. My husband stood on my porch. He looked terrible. Thin. Unshaven. Wearing clothes that didn't fit right. I opened the door but didn't invite him in. What do you want? I need to talk to you. We don't have anything to talk about, please, just 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I stepped onto the porch. Left the door open so Waffles could see me. My husband looked at his feet. I've been in therapy. Good for you. I'm serious. I've been going 3 times a week. Trying to understand why I did what I did. And what conclusion did you reach? He took a breath. I was a coward. I wanted to be everything to everyone and ended up being nothing to anyone. I hurt people. Especially you. I destroyed lives. And I'm sorry. I waited. Is that it? I want to make amends. You can't. You can't undo what you did. I know. But I want to try. I want to pay back the money I took. Help the women I hurt. Be a real father to Haven. Actually show up instead of just sending checks. I crossed my arms. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserved better, he said quietly. You deserved someone who appreciated what you did, who didn't take you for granted, who didn't call you a burden when you were the only thing holding them up. For 9 years, I'd wanted to hear those words. Wanted him to understand what he'd done. Now that I was hearing them, they felt empty. Too late. I'm glad you're getting help, I said. I hope you become a better person. But I don't forgive you. And I don't want you in my life. Even as friends? We were never friends, I said. Friends don't treat each other the way you treated me. He nodded. Looked like he wanted to say more, but didn't. just turned and walked to his car. A beat-up Honda, not the BMW, that had been repossessed. I watched him drive away and felt nothing, not anger, not satisfaction, not even relief. Just a quiet certainty that I'd made the right choice in leaving. Some people could be forgiven. Some people deserved second chances. He wasn't one of them. Inside, Waffles wagged his tail. I scratched behind his ears, poured myself a glass of wine, sat on my couch in my house that was mine alone. Outside, it started to rain, the kind of gentle rain that washes things clean. I thought about the past year, everything I'd lost, everything I'd gained, the person I'd been versus the person I was becoming. My phone buzzed. A text from Ivy. Dinner this weekend? Her boys wanted to meet Waffles. I smiled, typed back, absolutely. She sent a heart emoji, followed by, bringing someone I want you to meet. Her brother, the contractor. She'd mentioned him before, said he was kind, funny, nothing like our ex. I wasn't ready for anything serious, but I was ready to be open to possibilities. That's the thing about starting over. You get to decide who you become next, what you let in, what you leave behind. For 9 years, I'd been someone's wife, someone's support system, someone's burden. Now I was just Natalie. And for the first time in a long time, that felt like enough. More than enough. It felt like everything. The weekend came. Ivy arrived with her boys and her brother. His name was Callum. He had kind eyes and an easy smile. Shook my hand instead of going for a hug. Respected boundaries. The boys were 7 and 9, loud and energetic and completely in love with Waffles. We ordered pizza, played board games, watched the boys chase Waffles around my small backyard. It felt normal, comfortable, like maybe this was what family was supposed to feel like. At the end of the night, Callum helped me clean up while Ivy got the boys ready to leave. You have a nice place, he said. Thanks. I just bought it a few months ago. Fresh start? Something like that. He dried the last plate. Handed it to me. Ivy told me a little about what you went through. I'm sorry that happened to you. Thank you. But I'm okay now. Better than okay, actually. He smiled. I can tell. You seem like someone who knows exactly who they are. I used to think I did, I said. Then I realized I'd built my whole identity around someone else. Now I'm rebuilding from scratch. How's that going? I looked around my kitchen, at the life I'd created from the ruins of my marriage. It's going pretty well, I said. He nodded. Good. You deserve that. After they left, I sat on my porch with Waffles. The night was clear, stars visible despite the city lights. I thought about my husband, wondered if he was looking at the same sky, if he was really changing or just saying words he thought I wanted to hear. I hoped he was changing, not for me, but for Haven, for the women whose lives he'd disrupted, for himself, because living the way he'd lived was its own prison. But that wasn't my problem anymore. I'd spent enough time worrying about him, enough energy trying to fix someone who didn't want to be fixed. Now my energy was mine, my time was mine, my life was mine, and I had plans for it. Big plans. The kind that didn't include making myself smaller so someone else could feel bigger. Monday morning, I woke up early, went for a run with Waffles, came home, showered, dressed in my favorite suit, the blue one that made me feel powerful. I had a meeting with the senior partners at my firm. They wanted to discuss my future there, possible partnership track. It was everything I'd worked toward but put on hold because my husband's career had always come first. The meeting went well, better than well. They offered me a promotion, significant raise, my own office, a team to manage. I didn't hesitate. I accepted, shook hands, thanked them for the opportunity, walked back to my desk feeling like I was floating. This was mine. I'd earned it. No one could take it away. No one could diminish it. It belonged to me alone. That evening, I called my parents, told them about the promotion. They were thrilled, proud. My dad said something that stuck with me. You know, we never really liked him, your husband. We didn't trust him, but you seemed happy, so we didn't say anything. I wish you had, I said. Would you have listened? Probably not. Exactly. Sometimes people need to learn things on their own. He paused. But we're glad you figured it out. And we're proud of who you've become. After hanging up, I realized something. I'd spent so much time trying to be the perfect wife that I'd forgotten to be a good daughter, a good sister, a good friend. I'd sacrificed relationships that mattered for one that was built on lies. That was changing. I called my sister, made plans to visit her next month, called my college roommate, the one I'd lost touch with because my husband didn't like her, reconnected, made plans to meet up over the holidays. Life was opening up, expanding in ways I hadn't anticipated. It was terrifying and exhilarating at the same time, like standing on a cliff and realizing you could either step back or learn to fly. I was choosing to fly. Weeks turned into months. Fall arrived with changing leaves and cooler temperatures. I went on a few more dates with Callum. Nothing serious. Just coffee, dinner, a movie. He never pushed for more. Seemed content to let things develop naturally. I appreciated that. Needed that. One night, we were walking through downtown after dinner, talking about nothing important. He stopped suddenly, pointed at a building. See that? It's the new community center I'm working on. Should be finished by spring. You're building that? He shrugged. My company is? I'm just the foreman. But yeah, it feels good. Creating something that'll help people. I studied his face, the quiet pride there. That's amazing. He smiled. What about you? What are you building? The question caught me off guard. I thought about it. A life, I said finally. One that's completely mine. No lies, no pretending. Just real. That's the best kind of building there is, he said. The kind that starts from the foundation up. We walked in comfortable silence. At my door, he kissed my cheek. Good night, Natalie. Good night, Callum. Call me Cal, he said. Everyone does. Okay, Cal. After he left, I leaned against my door, smiled despite myself. This was different. He was different. Nothing like my husband. Nothing like the lies and compartmentalized lives. Just a straightforward man who said what he meant and meant what he said. It was refreshing. Maybe even something I could build on. Time would tell. Thanksgiving arrived. I spent it with my family. First time in years I'd been home for the holiday. My sister had a new baby, a girl named Felicity. I held her and felt something shift inside me. Longing, hope, fear. Maybe one day. But not yet. There was still too much healing to do. Too much rebuilding. But the possibility existed. That was enough. My brother-in-law asked about my husband. My sister kicked him under the table. I smiled. It's okay. He's not my husband anymore. And I'm better for it. My dad raised his glass. To new beginnings. We all drank to that. Later, helping my mom with dishes, she asked if I was seeing anyone. Maybe, I said. It's early. But he's nice. Kind. She hugged me. That's all I want for you. Someone kind. December came fast. Work was busy with year-end projects. I was managing a team of 3 now. Learning leadership. Making mistakes. Learning from them. It was challenging in the best way. One afternoon, my secretary buzzed. You have a visitor. Who is it? She says her name is Piper Delacroix. My stomach dropped. Send her in. Piper looked different than her photos. Older. Tired. She sat down without being asked. I know you don't want to see me. You're right. But I'm here anyway. I need to talk to you. About what? About Drew. About Haven. About everything. She took a breath. I made a mistake. Getting involved with a married man. I convinced myself it was okay because he said you didn't love him. That the marriage was over. I should have known better. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to know I'm sorry. For my part in hurting you. She looked at her hands. And because I need advice. About what? He wants visitation with Haven. Legal visitation. Wants his name on the birth certificate. Wants to be a real father. I stared at her. What do you want? I want Haven to have a father. But I also want her to have a father who shows up. Who doesn't lie. Who doesn't disappear when things get hard. I don't trust that Drew is that person. You're asking me if your daughter's father can be trusted. I know how it sounds. But you knew him longer than anyone. You saw who he really is. Do you think he's capable of change? I thought about it. Gave her the honest answer. I don't know. I hope he is. For Haven's sake. But hope isn't the same as trust. And trust has to be earned. She nodded slowly. That's what I thought. Thank you for being honest. She stood to leave. Piper? She turned. For what it's worth, I'm sorry too. Sorry that you got caught up in his lies. Sorry that your daughter might grow up with a father who lets her down. And I'm sorry I didn't warn you sooner. You didn't know about me until recently. I could have reached out after the divorce. Could have told you what kind of person he really is. But I was angry. Wanted him to mess up on his own. That wasn't fair to you or Haven. She smiled sadly. We all made mistakes. All we can do is try to do better going forward. She left. I sat at my desk feeling drained. My past kept finding ways to resurface. Kept demanding pieces of me I didn't want to give. But maybe that was part of healing. Confronting the damage. Making peace with what couldn't be changed. Learning to let go. That night, Cal came over. Took one look at me and knew something was wrong. Want to talk about it? Not really. Want me to leave you alone? Also no. He smiled. How about we order Chinese and watch something mindless? Perfect. We ate lo mein and watched cooking competition shows. Didn't talk about anything important. Just existed in the same space. Sometimes that was enough. Sometimes that was everything. Christmas approached. I bought gifts for Ivy's boys. Something for Cal. Donated to the charity my firm was supporting. Felt more connected to the world than I had in years. On Christmas Eve, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me. Hello? It was Quinn from Charlotte. The dental hygienist who'd refused to believe me. I've been trying to reach you, she said. Her voice was different. Smaller. I owe you an apology. You don't owe me anything. I do. I was horrible to you. Refused to listen. Convinced myself you were lying. But you weren't. He was. I found out the hard way. What happened? He gave me an STD, she said bluntly. Something he picked up from someone else. Could have been any of us. Could have been someone we don't even know about. I had to call everyone I'd been with in the past year. Get tested. Deal with the health consequences and the humiliation. I'm so sorry. Me too. But that's not why I'm calling. I wanted to thank you. For trying to warn me. For caring enough to tell me the truth even when I didn't want to hear it. You were brave. I was just tired of being lied to. Well, it mattered. It mattered more than you know. She paused. How are you doing? Really doing? I'm okay, I said. Better than okay. I'm rebuilding. That's good. You deserve to rebuild. We talked a bit more. She'd moved back in with her parents. Was in therapy. Working through the shame and anger. It would take time, but she was getting there. Before hanging up, she said something that stayed with me. You know what the worst part is? I let him make me doubt myself. Doubt my instincts. Doubt my worth. I won't ever let anyone do that again. After the call, I thought about my own doubts. The years I'd spent second-guessing myself. Wondering if I was crazy for feeling like something was wrong. Apologizing for taking up space. My husband hadn't just lied to me. He'd made me doubt reality itself. That was the real betrayal. Not the affairs or the money, but the way he'd eroded my sense of truth until I couldn't trust my own perceptions. But I was learning to trust myself again, learning that my instincts were valid, that my feelings mattered, that I didn't need anyone's permission to take up space or speak truth or demand better. It was a slow process. 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but I was getting there. New Year's Eve arrived. Cal invited me to a party his friends were throwing. I almost said no. Crowds weren't my thing, but something made me say yes. Maybe it was time to stop hiding, stop playing it safe, start actually living. The party was in a loft downtown. Exposed brick, string lights, good music. Cal introduced me to his friends. They were welcoming, genuine, the kind of people who made you feel like you'd known them forever. We drank champagne, laughed at terrible jokes, counted down to midnight with the whole group. When the clock struck 12, Cal pulled me aside, away from the crowd. "Happy New Year, Natalie." "Happy New Year, Cal." He kissed me, not rushed, not demanding, just soft and sure and right. When we pulled apart, he smiled. "I've been wanting to do that for a while. I'm glad you did." We stayed at the party another hour, then walked back to my place through quiet streets. At my door, he asked if he could come in. I said yes. Not because I felt pressured, but because I wanted him there. Wanted to start the new year with someone who made me feel safe. We talked until 3 in the morning about everything: his marriage that ended 5 years ago, his daughter who lived with his ex-wife in Seattle, the guilt he carried about not being there every day, the way he'd rebuilt his life one day at a time. I told him about my marriage, about the lies and the betrayal and the slow, painful process of healing. He listened without judgment, without trying to fix anything, just listened. It was exactly what I needed. When he finally left, the sun was starting to rise. I crawled into bed and slept better than I had in months. Waffles curled up beside me, my house quiet and peaceful and completely mine. I was learning that starting over didn't mean erasing the past. It meant acknowledging it, learning from it, carrying it forward without letting it define everything that came next. January brought cold weather and new projects at work. I was assigned to manage the firm's biggest account, a corporate merger that needed extensive legal support. It was high pressure, high stakes, exactly the kind of challenge I needed. I worked long hours, came home exhausted but satisfied. Cal understood, didn't complain when I canceled plans or fell asleep during movies. He was building his community center. His days were just as long. We made it work, stole moments when we could, quick dinners, morning coffee, Sunday afternoons where we did nothing but exist together. It was easy, comfortable, the opposite of my marriage in every way. One evening, my lawyer called. "Veronica, we hadn't spoken since the divorce finalized. Thought you should know," she said. "Your ex-husband filed for bankruptcy." "When?" "Last week. He lost everything. The properties were seized, his retirement account emptied paying debts. He's living in a 1-bedroom apartment and working construction." I felt nothing, not satisfaction, not pity, just a distant acknowledgement that consequences were real. Is he still paying support? For now. But he's filed a motion to reduce it, claiming hardship. Will it work? Probably not. The judge wasn't sympathetic to him, but he'll try. Good to know. Veronica paused. "How are you doing?" "Really good," I said. And I meant it. "I'm glad. You deserve it. After everything." After the call, I told Cal about the bankruptcy. He was quiet, then said, "I know I shouldn't say this, but good. Men who do what he did should face consequences." I smiled. "I love that you said that." He pulled me closer. "I love that you let me say it." February arrived with unexpected warmth. I was preparing for trial. The merger deal had hit complications, lawsuits, negotiations. I was in the thick of it. Loved every minute. This was what I'd gone to law school for. Not to be someone's assistant, but to actually practice law, to fight for outcomes, to win. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Brutal days. Long nights. But we won. The firm celebrated with an expensive dinner. My name was mentioned multiple times. I'd proven myself, earned my place. That night, Cal met me at my house with flowers and takeout. "Congratulations," he said. "You're amazing. I'm exhausted." "You're exhausted and amazing." We ate Thai food on my couch. He rubbed my feet while I told him about the case. Listened to me ramble about legal strategy and witness testimony. Didn't pretend to understand the technical parts. Just understood that it mattered to me. Therefore, it mattered to him. That's when I realized I was falling in love with him. The thought terrified me. I'd sworn off relationships, sworn off trusting men, sworn off letting anyone close enough to hurt me. But here was Cal, patient, kind, showing up every day, asking for nothing except my time. And slowly, carefully, I was letting him in. March brought news I didn't expect. My husband had been arrested, fraud charges. Apparently, he'd been running a scam at his construction job, stealing materials, selling them, pocketing the cash. Ivy called to tell me. "Thought you should know." "Is he in jail?" "For now. Bond hearing is tomorrow." "How's Piper handling it?" "She's filing for full custody, cutting him off completely." "Good." Ivy paused. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine. This doesn't affect me anymore." "That's good. That's really good." But we hung up. I realized something. I truly didn't care. My husband had become a stranger. Someone I used to know. His problems weren't mine. His choices weren't mine. His life wasn't connected to mine in any meaningful way. I'd moved on. Really, truly moved on. April arrived with spring flowers and warm breezes. Cal's community center was almost finished. He was proud of it. Took me to see it one Sunday afternoon. Showed me every detail. The gym, the classrooms, the art studio. This is going to help so many people, I said. He smiled. That's the point. Building things that last. That matter. You're a good person, Cal. You are too, Natalie. You just forgot for a while. But you remembered. That's what counts. We stood in the empty gym, sunlight streaming through tall windows. He took my hand. I need to tell you something. Okay. I love you. I've loved you for a while now. But I wanted to wait until you were ready to hear it. I stared at him, heart racing. Say something, he said nervously. I love you too. His smile was brilliant. Yeah? Yeah. He kissed me. Different from New Year's. Deeper. More certain. A promise of something lasting. That night he stayed over. Really stayed. Not just until 3 a.m., but through the night, through the morning, through lazy Sunday breakfast and afternoon naps. It felt natural. Right. Like pieces clicking into place. May brought my sister's wedding. She'd postponed it twice while dealing with new baby chaos. But now she was ready. She asked me to be matron of honor. I cried when she asked. Felt honored and loved and grateful. The wedding was beautiful. Small, intimate, just family and close friends. I stood beside my sister, watched her marry someone who truly loved her. Someone who showed up. Someone who didn't lie or hide or pretend to be someone they weren't. During the reception, Cal asked me to dance. We swayed to slow music. He whispered in my ear, "Think you'll ever want this again? Marriage? Someday. With the right person." And who's the right person? I looked up at him. I think you know. He smiled. Good. Because I plan on asking when the time is right. The time was right 6 months later. November again. 1 year since my divorce finalized. Cal took me to the community center. Now open and thriving. Showed me the new mural in the children's section, painted by local artists. Featured families of all kinds. Single parents, grandparents raising kids, same-sex couples, blended families. It was beautiful. A celebration of different kinds of love. This is amazing, I said. He knelt down, pulled out a ring. Natalie, I'm not going to promise you perfection. I'm going to promise you honesty, partnership, someone who shows up every day and chooses you every time. Will you marry me? I cried. Said yes, laughed and cried and kissed him while the community center buzzed with activity around us. We got married 3 months later, small ceremony, just family and close friends. Ivy was there with her boys. Her brother gave me away since my dad was too emotional. Waffles was the ring bearer. It was perfect. Nothing like my first wedding. That had been big, elaborate, expensive, designed to impress people. This was designed to celebrate love, real love, the kind that didn't need lies or pretense. During our vows, I promised to be honest, to communicate, to not lose myself. Cal promised the same. We built our marriage on foundation of mutual respect, of seeing each other clearly, of choosing each other every day. It wasn't always easy. Marriage never is. But it was real. That made all the difference. 2 years passed. Good years, hard years, growing years. We bought a house together, adopted another dog, a young terrier named Pancakes who kept Waffles young. I made partner at my firm. Cal started his own construction company. We talked about having kids, decided to wait a bit longer, enjoy being just us for a while. Then one day, completely unexpectedly, I ran into my ex-husband. At a grocery store of all places. He looked older, worn down, sober, I hoped. He saw me, froze. I could have walked away, pretended not to see him. But I didn't. I walked over, said hello. He was clearly surprised. Hi, Natalie. How are you? I'm good. Really good. You look good. Thanks. You look... I searched for the right word. Different. He laughed bitterly. That's one way to put it. How's Haven? I asked. She's great. Smart. Funny. Sees me every other weekend now. That's good. Yeah, it is. Awkward silence. Then he said, I heard you got remarried. I did. I'm happy for you. Really. You deserve it. Thank you. We stood there. 2 people who used to share a life, now complete strangers. I should go, I said. My husband's waiting. He nodded. Before you go, I just want to say, I'm sorry for everything. I know I said it before, but I mean it more now. I understand what I took from you, what I stole, and I'm sorry. I studied his face, saw genuine remorse there. Maybe he had changed. Maybe therapy had worked. Maybe hitting rock bottom had forced him to become someone better. I forgive you, I said. Not for you, but for me. I need to let go of the anger. Move forward completely. Thank you, he said quietly. That means more than you know. I walked away, found Cal in the produce section. He took one look at my face. You okay? I saw my ex-husband. He wrapped his arms around me. Do you want to leave? No. I'm okay. I really am. We finished shopping, drove home, made dinner together while Pancakes and Waffles wrestled on the floor. This was my life now. Real, honest, built on truth instead of lies. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine, completely mine. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. That night, lying in bed, Cal asked what I'd said to my ex-husband. I told him everything. The apology, the forgiveness, the letting go. Cal was quiet, then said, You're stronger than you know. I'm just tired of carrying weight that isn't mine. He kissed my forehead. That's what makes you strong. Knowing what to carry and what to put down. I fell asleep feeling lighter, like I'd finally closed a chapter. Not with anger or bitterness, but with quiet acceptance. Some people come into your life to teach you lessons. My ex-husband taught me what I didn't want, what I wouldn't accept, what I deserved instead. Cal taught me what love actually looked like, what partnership meant, what choosing someone every day felt like. 3 years into my second marriage, we decided to try for a baby. It took 6 months. Then one morning, 2 lines appeared on a test. I showed Cal, he cried, happy tears. We're going to be parents. We're going to be great parents. The pregnancy was smooth. We attended classes, read books, prepared the nursery. Cal painted murals on the walls, animals and trees and clouds. It was magical. Ivy threw me a baby shower. My sister came with my niece. My mom cried happy tears. Even Rhonda showed up, brought a gift and a card that said, "So glad you found your happy ending." Our daughter was born on a Tuesday in October. 7 pounds, healthy lungs, dark hair like mine, Cal's eyes. We named her Nora, after my grandmother who'd taught me that love should lift you up, not tear you down. Holding her for the first time, I felt complete. Not because I needed a child to feel whole, but because she was the beginning of something new. A family built on honesty, on showing up, on being present. The family I'd always wanted but didn't know I deserved. Cal held her, cried again. She's perfect. She's ours. And she'll never question whether we're there, whether we're telling the truth, whether we choose her. I promise you that. I kissed him, kissed our daughter's forehead. This was what I'd been building toward. Not a fairy tale, but something real, something lasting, something worth fighting for. 5 years after my divorce, I was happy. Truly, deeply happy. Not because I'd found someone new, but because I'd found myself first. Because I'd learned to stand on my own, to trust my instincts, to demand honesty. And then, only then, I'd let someone in who deserved to be there. My ex-husband sent a card when Nora was born, congratulated us, hoped we were well. I appreciated the gesture, didn't respond. Some doors needed to stay closed, some chapters needed to end completely. But I didn't tear up the card in anger, just filed it away. Acknowledgement without engagement. Looking back, I can see the pattern clearly. How I'd slowly made myself smaller, quieter, less demanding. How I'd convinced myself that being accommodating meant being loved. How I'd mistaken sacrifice for commitment. But I'd learned, grown, become someone who knew her worth, who wouldn't settle, who understood that real love didn't require you to disappear. Now I teach Nora different lessons. That her voice matters. That her feelings are valid. That she should never make herself small for someone else's comfort. She's only 3, but already she's fierce, confident, certain of her place in the world. That's what happens when you grow up with parents who show up, who tell the truth, who choose each other and you every single day. Cal and I aren't perfect. We argue, have bad days, struggle with balancing work and parenting, but we do it together, honestly, without lies or hidden accounts or secret families. Just 2 people committed to building something real. Sometimes I wonder about the other women. Quinn, Brooke, Ivy moved on years ago. Met someone kind who adopted her boys. She's happy. We still talk every few months. Piper, I have no idea. I hope she's okay. Hope Haven has the father she deserves. Whether that's my ex-husband or someone better. But that's not my story anymore. Not my responsibility. I get to choose what I carry. And I choose to carry only what's mine. My marriage, my daughter, my career, my life. Everything else can be someone else's burden. I've carried enough for a lifetime. 10 years after that night my husband called me a burden, I'm sitting in my backyard watching Nora play with the dogs. Cal is grilling dinner. Music plays from outdoor speakers. Ivy and her family are coming over. My sister and her kids too. This is my life. Full, loud, chaotic, real. I lifted myself off my husband's shoulders and discovered I could fly, could build, could create something beautiful from the ruins. The burden wasn't me. It never was. It was the weight of his lies, his secrets, his refusal to be honest. Without that weight, I soared, and I'm never coming back down.